This podcast is supported by The Real Real. Want to know the deal with The Real Real?
I'm always shopping The Real Real. They drop over 10,000 new arrivals every day from the luxury brands I'm obsessed with, all up to 90% off retail. Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Dior, Cartier, Tiffany. P.S. It's super easy to sell on The Real Real. When I'm ready to part with my pieces, I can drop off or schedule a pickup, and they handle everything from photography to shipping. Everything. All I have to do is get paid and start shopping for my next favorite piece.
With over 38 million members and 40 million items sold, The Real Real is the world's largest and most trusted resource for authenticated luxury resale. No one else can say all that, because no one does resale like The Real Real. Thousands of new arrivals daily at 90% off retail. And right now, you can get $25 off your first purchase at therealreal.com. Go to therealreal.com to get your $25 off. That's therealreal.com.
Hello. So here we are again, and today I'm going to talk about carbonated drinks. It came up in a conversation, and I often ask people why they drink fizzy drinks anyway, because I don't. It's just a personal choice. And I thought, well, actually, it's an interesting topic. So let's have a chat about it and do a bit of fact finding and hopefully broaden your horizons with something that we just buy without giving it consideration. The same way we turn a tap on, don't we? And we don't necessarily think about the process of that water. So let's start. Let's have a look. What is carbonation? So carbonated drinks. What is carbonation? Have any of you actually asked this question? So the clue's in the title, actually, carbonation across the nation. So it's actually a process, it's chemistry, and it's gas that becomes solution. It's forced into water. So it's CO2, going back to our chemistry classes at school, which is a long distant memory for me, by the way, and H2O. So you're combining. And this phenomenon is what causes the fizz. Okay, so it's a process. Now, what's really, really interesting with this process is, and there's a bit of chemistry coming now, so pin back your ears. Take yourselves back to the classroom, and obviously all age groups are listening to this, but many moons ago, in times gone by, there was such a thing called litmus paper. I don't know if you remember it. And it was a bit of paper, a stick of paper that you would dip into various solutions, and it would change colour, and then you'd match it up against a colour code, and that would show the acidity or the alkaline or neutral of whatever it was. I remember sticking it on my tongue and things like that. So it was randomly going around the classroom trying it out. Now, what's really interesting is our natural water, so spring water, not the water that's in our taps, is pH neutral. Okay, that's a really important thing to remember. Now, when we do this chemical process of forcing the CO2 into the liquid, there's a reaction, and it causes the creation of something called carbonic acid. Again, the clue's in the title. It creates acidity. Now that changes the pH of the water. So it varies. Different tests have shown that the fizzy carbonated waters vary between 5 and 6.5. So their acidity is increased. They've changed. They're not neutral anymore. Now that's worth remembering. Hold on to that thought, all right? Because I'm bound to go off piste with this as I chat. So let's hold on to that thought. Now, it's interesting as well that what does carbon dioxide do? We know it's part of the process for plants, don't we? There's an absorption process going on, and they're producing oxygen. So plants are absorbing carbon dioxide, which is fantastic for the planet, isn't it? We mustn't lose sight of that either. For human beings, though, we expel carbon dioxide. It's a waste product. Now, carbon dioxide takes away life. It creates cellular lethargy or cellular death. okay? Oxygen creates life and cellular activity. So that's putting it in a really, really simple way, but it's quite thought-provoking, isn't it? Let's say that again. It's a brilliant quote. Carbon dioxide takes away life. And when we're drinking a drink that's got carbonic acid in it, we're drinking a drink that is infused with carbon dioxide, and there's been a chemical process. So I've personally, I find that really interesting. Now, also, natural spring waters have a mineral content. They've passed through various processes. They've been through rocks, chalk, peat, glaciers. Water is prehistoric, actually. It's been on the planet for years. So it contains this huge amount of mineral content. And when we're adding in this carbonation process, we're warping it, we're changing it, and increasing that acidity is part of that warp. Okay, I love that word, warp. And if we think about it, the fizziness doesn't actually do anything other than create fizz and a bit of acidity. It doesn't add nutrients. It doesn't improve our health in the truest respect. Just as an aside, some people, some with acid reflux, find that fizzy drinks helps reduce it, but others say it increases it. But I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute. I'm going a bit off piste. So let's expand now on the acidic bit that I talked about. So as a reminder, carbon dioxide forced under pressure into water, H2O, chemical reaction creates carbonic acid. Now, this increase in pH can affect our bone health. So imagine if something's really acid, what do we need to do? If you have stomach ache, a bit of acid reflux, what do we do? People will take something that contains calcium. They'll take those chewy tablets that help reduce it. Now, that's buffering, and buffering means you're bringing an acid back down to neutral. And that happens in our bodies. It does it all by itself. It's dead clever. And it will leach out calcium, magnesium, potassium, and it will leach it out of our bones, cartilage, even the bloodstream, and it will dump it, okay, to try and reduce our acidity. And in doing that, you're weakening your skeletal system. So over a long period of time, although the acidity of carbonated water is slight, the longevity of ingesting it is what creates the damage to our bones. It isn't something that's instantly catastrophic. You're not going to suddenly be brittle people. But if you keep drinking it day in, day out as your main source of fluid, you're going to have trouble later on in life. So also this calcium and magnesium that's floating about, body salts in other words, they're going to get dumped somewhere as well. When they've done their job, any excess has got to be deposited. It needs to be sorted out, doesn't it? And it can get deposited in the joints, kidneys, gallbladder, even the arteries, actually. So, we've got to be careful because we're furring up. Imagine that you're getting gritty. I can't think of another way of putting it that stops it being scientific. So it will affect your joints. People who are maybe have joint problems. It can be down to this dumping process where we've had the carbonated liquids. So that's something worth bearing in mind as well. Now, something I touched on earlier was digestion and acid reflux, wasn't it? So I'm going to bounce back to digestion, okay? So if you've ever suffered from acid reflux, it can be absolutely awful, can't it? And we're reaching for the Gaviscon and what they're called, Settler's Tums. We chew on those, don't we? And then you've got the proton pump inhibitors, medications like omeprazole, lansoprazole, all the zols, basically. Ranitidine, that's another one that pops up. So these drugs are used to buffer down. That's what they're doing. They're having a profound effect on the digestive system. Now, carbonated drinks for some people, as I said before, can help subside those symptoms. But also the flip side is they can make people do really nasty burps. I call them juicy burps, actually. You know, when you're bringing it up, it's just really unpleasant and it's burny in the throat, and it can affect some people are coughing and they go they're trying to clear their throats. So the carbonated process can create that or contribute to it. Also, where people say, oh, they're bloated, particularly some women will say they feel they've gone up a dress size and you've got that little pot belly. The fizzy drinks can do that as well. So it can actually change our shape. Also, something that's super interesting, well, I think it is anyway, is that carbonated water can increase ghrelin, which is a hormone that makes us hungry. Not gremlin. Mind you, it sometimes feels like gremlins, doesn't it? No, ghrelin. Now, if we have this increase in hunger, then we're going to snack more. So studies have shown that where people are drinking carbonated water, they will often be reaching for nibbles, packet of crisps, Doritos. I mean, gosh, Doritos is a whole new podcast that I could talk about, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, once you pop, you can't stop. I mean, they're amazing. So that's a topic maybe I should tackle. But this increase in the hormone ghrelin and the increase in hunger for some people can be really tricky, because then you're snacking and then you're putting on weight. So it's counterproductive. It's not that healthy in that respect if you're prone to snacking particularly. Also, you may have heard, through, I don't know, whatever medium, Facebook and various other podcasts and Instagram. It's out there about the gut biome. It's really, really taken off. It's very in the public consciousness now. There's been a lot more studies as well, which is fabulous. And they're throwing up some really interesting stuff. And one of the things that's popped up that caught my eye was the carbonated drinks, whether it's mineral water, fizzy juice, whatever it is, can actually damage your gut bacteria balance. And this will then lead to other issues: acid reflux, for one, IBS, bloating, abdominal pain, lots and lots of nasty burping, the nasty, bringing stuff up type of burps. So it's not good, is it? It's really not good. So as you're sipping away on your lovely posh bottle of water, it's not actually doing you that much good. Something else that popped up whilst I was planning this podcast was about the dental health with the carbonated liquids or mineral water, carbonated mineral waters, because they're so deceptive. Now, your fizzy flavoured waters are interesting, and as I said earlier, I often say to people, why do you drink fizzy flavoured water? Why not flavour your own? And it tends to just be time. We're all guilty of that, aren't we? So the flavoured waters actually can be quite detrimental to your teeth. And that's another interesting topic. But just to give it a summary, a lot of these flavoured fizzy waters contain citric acid. That's used to give it this powerful punch. Now, the trouble is that this water already has increased acidity, as I said earlier. And then in adding citric acid, there's the clue, citric acid, you're changing the pH even more. So it's becoming more acidic. Now, whilst this doesn't cause tooth decay, because that's connected to sugar, it causes erosion. So there have been studies on, it's really gross actually, this is really, I mean, they've got to learn somehow about teeth, haven't they? So they use extracted teeth, and they use teeth that are as okay as possible. So what they do is they drop them into the various solutions, including a placebo, which would be natural water, and they time it, and then they examine under a microscope and do various like slide samples to see what the erosion is. And they found that there was erosion in all age groups, so But particularly with children, because they were drinking more of the sugary drinks, which was, kind of expected because it's very popular with children, isn't it? But what they also found was it was how people drank. So some people, this sounds a bit strange, but some people are very front sippers. So it's the shape of the mouth. And some people are gulpers. So depending on how they drank, drank, was where the erosion was more evident. So what they suggest is that you use a straw. If it's something that you're not prepared to change, use a straw because it's firing straight into the mouth and it's less likely to affect the teeth, which seems sensible, doesn't it? So now I've gone through some of the bits and bobs to do with the carbonation process and fizzy mineral water. What's my take on it as a professional? So, I'm kind of middle ground with this. My thoughts are, if there's a family predisposition for health issues such as, I don't know, some people actually have dodgy teeth. It's a predisposition. It might be through disease, autoimmune, poor nutrition in childhood. There's lots and lots of reasons. But if that exists, if there's osteoporosis, arthritis, heart disease, then I personally think that carbonated mineral waters should be kept to a minimum. So it's something that it's occasional. So it might be, I don't know, it's a hot day, you get in from work and you just fancy a refreshing drink, so you pour yourself a lovely long glass of fizzy mineral water with ice and a slice. I mean, that's lovely, isn't it? Fair enough, but I certainly would not be using them as my main source of liquid. Also, if you're someone who's prone to snacking and easy weight gain, again, I would have them very occasionally. I wouldn't rock the boat or poke the bear. It's another another saying, isn't it? I would be cautious. Yeah, so it's moderating your behaviour. And also, I suppose, what are the alternatives if you're someone who loves your mineral water and your fizzy mineral water? Um, Let me rephrase that. If you're someone who loves your fizzy mineral water, because that's what this is about, your carbonated drinks, make your own. So there's all kinds of things you can add to normal, natural spring mineral water, okay, which has that lovely neutral pH. You can add mint leaves, cucumber, slices of lemon, ginger. If you can get whole root turmeric, that's really lovely. Rosemary is nice. You could drop in some blueberries, just crush them up a bit. So you can just add your own flavours, let them steep is a really good idea. Chicory, that's another one. Actually, for the ladies, I'm just going off on a bit of a tangent here, but chicory's really good for water retention, actually. Yeah, you just pop it in there, leave it overnight, and you'll be weeing for Britain. Don't do it. Don't drink it in the morning. Don't drink it before you go to bed because you'll be up all night and blaming me. Any complaints, put in an email. Anyway, so yeah, I've burbled on. I hope this has given you some direction about something you may not have given thought to. And if you've got any questions, pop me an email. I'm going to be doing more podcasts, and if there's a topic that you would like me to natter about, then just let me know, and I'll happily pick it up and run with it. So yeah, it's I'm always interested on what people want to find out. So yeah, don't worry about asking. And yeah, this has been the nutrition mission because we're trying to educate people, but keep it simple, keep it manageable, and keep it real. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and take care.